And here we go. Everybody, thank you so much for attending the webinar. Hopefully that looks okay. The audio probably sounds a little bit different, but hopefully you can see the screen and hear my voice, and we're going to hop into our Q&A. I hope that you really enjoyed our content creation workshop, helping you create more content. So we're just going to hop right into the questions. So in the Q&A panel, underneath the webinar or on your screen somewhere, just ask the questions that you have about content creation. I'll get them over here on this side and answer your questions. So our first question comes from Ray. And Ray asks, this seems like a lot. Where do I start? And is this presentation saved somewhere where I can view it again? So Ray, great question. And the first place to start is really, in my opinion, talking about what you know. So the specific type of loans, the specific type of mortgages that you're an expert in, that should be the first piece of content that you create for your audience, so that you have the confidence to speak about that particular topic. And that's where I would start. I would start with content just specifically targeted to the types of clients that you've processed before. And then, just like we just learned, pull out your smartphone, make sure that you get your earbuds all hooked up, and just talk as you normally would to a client or customer, explaining what the problems are and how to solve them. And it may take a little bit for your first content piece to really get comfortable with it. It's okay, you can edit it later before you put it on social media, but start with that first content piece. And after you've been through the process, I think you're gonna realize that it's actually quite a bit of fun to create quality content and to get it out there. Will there be a recording? Yes, there will be a recording. It'll be posted for 48 hours after this event. So we're gonna be sending out a link after we get everything compiled onto a site for you. We'll send it out and we'll have access to that for 48 hours. After the 48 hours, if you want access to it, all you have to do is reach out to your First National representative and they will give you access to the past recordings of the events that we've had. So great question. Our next question comes from Jim. Jim asks, what are the 5 steps again in creating the content? That is a great question as well. And what I'll do is I'll take that slide that we had from the presentation. I'll post that on my Facebook page so that you've got access to the slides. But for right now, the first step is your audience. And the second, so identifying who it is that you're going to be speaking to, right? The second thing that you need to know is the topic. So what's their big question? What's their big ask? What would they find really helpful, right? The third thing is your actual content. So when you know what their question is, what do they need to know in order to solve that problem? Then we've got the goals. So laying out after the content what they're going to achieve by going through those steps. And then the fifth and final step is the call to action, and making sure that you're telling people how they can get a hold of you and how they can reach out and connect with you to get answers to more of their questions. So just to review, that's audience, topic, content, goals, and a call to action. So great question. So our next question is from Mary. Mary is asking, what is the #1 piece of content that you would suggest to create? So as far as like one specific piece of content to create, I guess that kind of relates back to the first question of where do you get started? I would start with your target market and solving that problem. Now, another great way to get started with these is to go out and tell the stories of transformation, like we just talked about, right? So going out and telling the story of how you help change your customers' lives by doing it, what it is that you do. And if you tend to focus on first-time homebuyers, tell the story of the first-time homebuyer. If you work with investors, talk about how you help those investors. And again, the process or the layout for that story of transformation is you tell where that person was before they met with you, right? And that's where they have their problem, where either they can't get approved or they're having trouble with their balance sheets, or if it's a first-time buyer, they're just intimidated with the whole process, right? And then you tell the story of what you did for them. So that's essentially solving their problems, right? So you go through the action steps of what you did for that client. And then at the end, you tell what life is like after doing business with you. So essentially the formula goes, here's where they were, here's what we did, and here's where they are today. Now, obviously, just like we said, you don't want to make anything up. If you're dealing with real clients, make sure that they give you permission to use their story, or you can use a scenario of a deal, but you can't make it look like that scenario is an actual testimonial or a client. So you just got to be, we all want to be above board with the marketing and advertising that we're doing, and that's how you do that with the stories of transformation. So if you were going with that as your first piece of content, I would suggest just laying out the deal scenario and having kind of the big problem that you're going to solve, the steps they go through, and then what life looks like after doing business with you. And then again, just pull out your smartphone, put your earbuds in, dictate out exactly what that scenario looks like, add your call to action at the end, and then just go back and clean it up on the computer or on your phone. Make sure that you're happy with the way that it looks and post that out. And again, the more that you do this, the easier it becomes. And like I said, I create content everywhere. When I'm at the airport, when I'm traveling in the car, anytime where you've got that bored time, you can have your layouts and just go through and do all of your content creation where you're in that idle time that might otherwise be wasted. So it doesn't actually have to come out of the time that you're already spending. This is almost like found time when you create your content. So a great question, and thanks for that. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, just type into the Q&A panel and we'll go even deeper and clarify that even further. From Dan, where do I post all this content? On my personal page or on my business page? Another great question. So my preference is to post that content on your business page. And the reason why is so that you can sponsor it with an advertisement. So just like we talked about making your content evergreen, where you can take that content, post it, boost it, use it to generate leads and generate goodwill in your marketplace, then you can repost it, reboost it, and continue that process, because as Facebook or identifies that there's new people that are interested in purchasing real estate or they need help with their mortgages, they'll show that content in front of new people. So even though you may have created it 6 months ago, Facebook is still identifying people that it's relevant to today. And you still get the same response from those people that read it and go, wow, that's amazing. I trust this person. This person's obviously the expert. I'm going to connect with them. You can't do that with your personal profile. Once you post something on your personal profile, it's there and then it's gone. You don't have the ability to promote it with an advertisement and get it in front of the right audience. But you can repost it on your personal content. And that opens up, I guess, a greater discussion as to where you should be marketing your business. And I know that we've covered this in past sessions, but I think it's worth mentioning because the question came up again. I personally believe that your past clients are your friends on your personal Facebook page. And the type of marketing that you do to them is relationship building, connecting with them, really keeping that personal bond connected with them so that they continue to do business with you and they continue to send you all the referrals that are possible from that relationship. Everybody else, all of your leads, any prospects that you have, the networking that you're doing with your referral partners, all of that should be happening on your Facebook business page. And again, that's because Facebook gives us great tools in order to be able to get our message in front of the right market at the right time, which is going to generate a better response over the long run in your marketing. So that is essentially how we go about that. So we'll just let this load up here. Okay. From Daryl. Daryl asks, can I use my content on other social channels? And the answer to that is previous webinars we've gone through Hootsuite and how to take that content that you create once and have it automatically go out to Twitter and go out to LinkedIn, go out to your Google Plus account, right? Absolutely. The more places that you can get this content, the better it will actually do for you, which opens up the fact that you should be using it as blog content on your blog if you have a blog on your website, and really using that as content to build out your website to help increase your ranking. There's lots of different ways that you can take this content and repurpose it to get even more benefit from it over time. Those are just some of them. But definitely the content that you're creating should be posted on Facebook and what other sources that you're posting on. And as you all know, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn as well. So hopefully that helps you as well. And just a quick heads up, our monthly webinar next month is going to be all about Pinterest. And we're going to be going into some cool new strategies that we've discovered there. So make sure that you keep an eye out for the email that we're going to be sending out so that you can get registered for that event next month. Okay, so another question here. What about video content? Can I just create this as scripts and then make my own videos? So that's the question. What about turning this into video content, basically, right? So the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Video is very powerful. Video is, in my opinion, one of the ideal marketing methods that you should be using in your business, especially to connect through social media. Now, there is the flip side to that coin. We've gone into a lot of consulting arrangements where we'll go in and they have grandiose plans for a video marketing campaign, but they get caught up in the production value and the writing of the scripts and the everything that it takes in order to create, produce, and distribute good video content. So my answer to that question is yes, absolutely, I would recommend it. If you're already producing video content or you've already seen the webinar about creating fast video content to get out into the marketplace, if it's going to be one of those scenarios where you get caught up doing all of this busy work behind the scenes where you're creating the scripts and researching cameras and researching lighting and worrying about the sound and all that, forget it. Just dictate, publish. Right? You can always go back later and turn it into videos once you have a system in place in your business. I'm a big fan of speed of implementation, right? So do the thing that you're able to get done now, get it out there, then go back when you have a strategy to put it into video and produce it that way. Just from the way that the question was worded, I'm assuming that you don't already have video distribution in place in your business. So I wouldn't let that slow you down. Publish it first. You can always go back and repurpose your articles and turn those into scripts and republish your content as video. So hopefully that helps you as well. Okay. For your news strategy, how do you get notified when there's new articles? Isn't this already inundated with comments by the time you get there and you never get traffic? So, great question / comment. So yes, immediacy is a big part of that news strategy. And the tool that we use internally to track those news articles and when they come out is Facebook, by liking the different news sources and keeping an eye on when they publish that content. We also follow all of the major news agencies on Twitter so that we're getting kind of real-time notifications, and when something happens in the mortgage industry, we see that relatively quickly. The other service that we use is Google Alerts. And essentially, that's a tool where you can just plug your keywords into it, and it will send you a notification when that major keyword has a news story that is developed for it. So we go out and follow the word mortgage, and then we get those alerts when that content is published. So we're normally there same day, which is plenty fine. So definitely hook up with those services. Those should keep you in touch and help you to implement that strategy. And again, it's one of those things that's far underutilized, in my opinion, in the mortgage industry, we see it working very, very well in other industries that are very similar to ours. So I don't see any reason why it won't work for you as well. So we're getting short here on time. So what we'll do is we'll take a couple more questions, and then any of you that didn't get an answer to your question on the Q&A, I will respond to you personally via email to make sure that you get an answer to your questions. So our next question is from Bev. Bev says, explain more about relationship targets and targeting. Okay, so when you're advertising your content, so you've created a great piece of content and now you're getting out and showing it to the right audience, right? So with Facebook targeting, you can create a post, click on boost post, just like we went through, and then target that to a very specific subset of people. And when I say relationships, there is a section inside the targeting that says relationship status. And you can choose single, married, and all of the other categories, right? So let's say, for example, you have specific information for people that have recently gone through a separation, right? Because I realize that that is, that's a point in people's lives where they need the expertise of a quality mortgage broker, right? So you could have an article and the audience that you're speaking to, somebody who has recently gone through that life experience, and then lay out great content for them. And then using a boosted post on Facebook, you can show that to people that are in that relationship category that are just in your target market. So based on the relationship status, essentially what's happening in their life so that you can get content that is relevant to them in their newsfeed. Same thing goes for young couples. Myself and my wife, we recently got married. Well, not recently. I guess it still feels like yesterday. It's been amazing. So when I changed my Facebook status from single to engaged, all of the advertising and the content that was showing up in my Facebook changed completely, because the advertisers that know what they're doing now know that my mindset is completely different than it was when I was in a different relationship status. Same thing when I changed my status from engaged to married, it changed again. Now, here's the freaky thing. With Facebook targeting, you can target people that are married, that have kids, and then you can target them based on the age of their children, right? So you can go, 0 to a year to 3 years, 3 years to 6 years, and up from there. So if you only want to target a specific person that has kids of a certain age, because that they're either moving up or moving down, or they're at that life cycle stage where they need help with either moving or with their finances, you can target just that specific person on Facebook. And with the strategy that you learned here today, you can write a content piece that speaks right to that person. Be like, attention, mothers with 2 kids looking to move to a bigger house. You need to know this before you get your home, right? And then, so obviously those mothers that are in that category are going to read that full article because it's specifically written just for them. And then you can give them your solid advice. So when I say relationship status or targeting people in that relationship category, that's what I mean. And I personally have seen great results from targeting my marketing that specifically through the social channels. When you really speak the language of the person that you're trying to communicate with, it makes a big difference rather than just having, I'm a mortgage broker and this is my value proposition, right? It gives us a great opportunity to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace to specifically work with the people that you want to work with. So great question. Okay, so we'll hop on to our last question here. And then again, those of you that haven't had your question answered, I will respond via email and get all those questions answered for you. So what was the Canva name again? So Canva is the image service that we use to create those social images and post them on your account, and it's canva.com. Canva, like canvas without the S, .com. Charlie Alpha numeric, V as in Victor, alpha.com. canva.com. So canva.com is a great service, and it'll make your posts look just absolutely fantastic. So that's everything I have for you today. Again, thank you so much for spending your time here with us today. There's a feedback survey coming out. I would really appreciate your feedback. And I would like to say thank you to First National for putting this fantastic event together, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody next month. Don't forget, I'm going to be sending you an email on Monday of next week with a link so that you can invite your referral partner to our event next week. Again, another tool to help you grow your business. So until that time, much love from me and my family to you and yours, and hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you later, everybody.